Hey, Andy Audate here. I wrote a Facebook post on GoHighLevel's Facebook page where I explained how I would get 6 to 12 SaaS customers in one day. And I'm going to go in more detail into that inside of this training. So that way you can implement it inside of your business. When I went to GoHighLevel's GoHighLevel's Mastermind, this is actually the certificate of completion of me going to my first mastermind. Going to in-person events is completely game-changing. And now I've been invited to speak at their next GoHighLevel Mastermind here. So this is a picture that they sent me, and then I put this post here. And realizing that I'm speaking at the upcoming GoHighLevel Mastermind, I said to myself, I remember when I first went to the mastermind and how my business was operating back then. And the way that my business was operating back then is I had a fork in the road. I had to really one or two options. Option number one was doing this high ticket done for you marketing agency route where I would aim to get 5 clients paying $10,000. Or option two was the low ticket SaaS agency route where I've essentially just focused on doing SaaS as a service or software as a service and getting low ticket subscriptions and focusing on volume. In this course, I'm going to give you access to a much more in detail training of essentially what I did inside of this post here. Okay, so in this post, I was very brief and got straight to the point, and I gave a 5-step overview of like what I did. So the first step was I stopped doing monthly services. Second step was I stopped adding new high ticket monthly services, and then there was a transition period going to SaaS, and it was all done in 5 steps. And then I just focused on those 5 steps, and that's what got me results. Where one of those results is I got an award for hitting over 7 figures, if you can see that here. This is a membership into the 7-figure club with our SaaS pro Greta. So we got an award for doing over $1 million. And then this is like one of them, but I got a bunch of awards just like this from GoHighLevel directly. This is very heavy. This one is for 100 subscribers inside of our GoHighLevel SaaS. So as of today, I have made the decision from the fork in the road. The decision that I made is, of course, option number 2. However, I do recall when I was at the fork in the road where I had to make a decision. That was many years ago, but I had to make a decision. Do I do high ticket done for you marketing services, or do I do the low ticket? So let me just read to you this real quick, and that will explain everything that this training is all about. Now, I am going to go very fast. When I went to my first mastermind, the fork in the road was high ticket done for you services like Facebook ads, funnel build outs, or should I start selling GoHighLevel as a SaaS and get some recurring revenue? If you knew me, I was nervous in making that decision because I was about to make a life-changing decision. Now it's been nearly 3 years. I decided to white label GoHighLevel, and now I've been invited to speak at the GoHighLevel Mastermind on this very decision. And I'm gonna tell you what I went through to get the opportunity to speak. I realized the actual fork in the road was choosing either high stress in the high ticket done for you marketing agency route, or choosing reoccurring peace in the reoccurring revenue SaaS route. And let me share with you what I mean by that. I learned that about truly creating recurring revenue at the first SaaSpreneur Mastermind, and it was there where I got the techniques. But most importantly, right after that event, I made the decision to go all in on recurring revenue, on SaaS, and so forth. So come to find out 3 years later, I have so much gratitude for Sean because that day I was enrolled into a bigger vision. I built a purely recurring revenue business that's been able to create predictable profit. Now my SaaS crossed over $800,000 in annual recurring revenue. When I went to my first mastermind, back then I was a full marketing agency doing done-for-you services, closing whatever deal came my way. I would say yes to a service, and then I would have to go ahead and figure it out. Like I would say yes to Facebook ads. I would say yes to building a funnel. I would say yes to Google pay-per-click ads, and I would have to figure out how to service that client. And that was the problem as an agency back then. I was consistently putting my team in a position to figure it out, rather than just having a scalable, automated solution that can be duplicated with little brain power after each sale was made. Now, I'm gonna share this with you. If you run an agency, you know each client typically has a different need or a different use case for your services. Even if they all run ads with you, each client is on a different journey within the agency. But with SaaS or with GoHighLevel as a software, this can be a recurring stream or an additional stream of revenue. Each customer gets the same software, it's the same setup, and it's the same offer. So I'm going to be speaking at this upcoming SaaSpreneur Mastermind in Dallas on how to get SaaS customers in large groups through webinars. Then I'll be revealing the onboarding system and the scaling system and the process after the webinar and how you can implement that system inside of your business. Now, today I'm full SaaS. I don't do done for you marketing services anymore. If you are an agency that does marketing services and you're trying to transition to low ticket recurring revenue, knowing what I did, here's how I transition out of my high ticket service business to low ticket monthly recurring revenue that makes more revenue. It does. It makes more revenue. My accountant showed me the math. It makes more revenue and more profit when I have a low ticket, just subscription revenue. But here's the process. Here's how I transition out of that high ticket service business to a low ticket monthly recurring revenue that makes more revenue, more profit. So number one, to start the transition, I stopped doing monthly services on other people's platforms. I used to do monthly build outs and management on Kajabi, ClickFunnels, Shopify, you name it, I did it. And I immediately said to each person, for me to service you now, it has to be on my platform. My platform's name is Progretta. And I was nervous about this transition, but 100% of my customers agreed. And they said, yeah, sure, no problem. I don't care if it's hosted on Kajabi or Progretta, as long as it works. That's what I found out that was the truth. They didn't care. Number two, but I will go into more detail on the 5-step system. Number two, after 90 days of this, I then stopped adding new high ticket monthly services like Facebook ads where I charged $3,000 a month and I only did the initial build out, no one-time setups. And the deal would be $5,000 one time for the site and then $399 per month for the CRM. And I'll explain more on step 2 of this training. This allowed me to get cash up front while gaining subscribers. I figured getting 10 customers to $2K upfront and $5K upfront one time, and then they all paid $399 a month to $749 a month was smarter in the long run than putting my attention on high ticket reoccurring, which ends up canceling anyway. So number 3 was after 3 to 4 months of doing only one-time setups, I stopped doing all services entirely. And I only sold the software. That's right, just the software. Today I sell just the software. At this time, I still had recurring high ticket contracts on retainer, but what ended up happening was my accountant told me, this was the important part, my accountant told me that my SaaS revenue was profitable and that my biggest cost on my profit and loss was the labor on the high ticket side. And if I transition to full SaaS, we will still be profitable. So I stopped doing done for you services altogether. I contacted all my customers and told them at the end of the contract that we have, we will not be renewing the services because we are focusing on the software. And then to get software subscribers, I host one webinar every month to sell my software. And then I get as many people on that webinar to do a group demo using a white label sales presentation. If I get 100 people to see my webinar, I'd get 6 to 12 subscribers in one day. And upon purchase, the onboarding workflow would automatically schedule the new customer with a white label onboarding partner, and and the customer would receive 24/7 tech support from our white label vendor. So I essentially automate the sales because that's done with a white label webinar. I automate the onboarding because that's done with a white label vendor, and I automate the retention because that's done with a white label vendor on the retention side with the technical support. So I don't have to hire additional staff or I don't have to do any additional custom work. And if somebody absolutely needed services, we just connected them with a white label done for you agency that does the fulfillment on our SaaS, okay? And we have white label agencies now today. So is it guaranteed that you will create the same results? Probably not. Is it possible? Yes. I share that with you, and I say probably not because there's so many people in the Go High Level community, right? But I share that with you if you are beginning and you're at the early stages like I was, it's worth the journey. This process freed up my time, created more profit, I get more revenue, and it's been a game changer ever since. So if you are a marketing agency, let me tell you, if this resonates with you, when I look in the mirror, I know that one of my best decisions in the last few years of business was transitioning, okay? And then this is a photo here. And then it got a bunch of comments. Now this person, Eddie here, asked a question. He said, nice, Andy, curious, it seems a lot of your business it outsources and it's using white label vendors. What are your profit margins with outsourcing almost all of your, outsourcing almost all how your business runs? So here's what my response was. Most white label vendors have fixed costs for unlimited services. So as long as my revenue outweighs the fixed cost, it's profitable. White label sales webinars, White label onboarding and white label tech support all have one flat rate of $997 per month. Anything over that is profit. So 2 customers at $500 per month will cover my monthly cost for all of the services. And since it's unlimited onboarding, unlimited tech support, and unlimited viewers on the white label webinars, I just need 3 customers to be profitable and run it up as many customers as I want, okay, as I possibly could. And all it costs me is $997 a month. So in this course, I'm going to give you the blueprint of how all of this makes money. I've been asked, like, can you explain this? Like this part right here, $997 a month, two customers makes it profitable. And then transitioning, the steps to transition from high ticket services and transitioning all the way to reoccurring subscription. Can you go into more detail on each step so that way I can learn, Andy? The answer is yes. Inside of this course, that's exactly what I'm going to be sharing with you. In depth, step 1. The first video is going to be on step 1. The second video is going to be step 2. Then I'm going to go to step 3, step 4, step 5, explaining it all to you inside of this course. I'll see you on the inside. Let's go to the next video. Here's what I'm going to do to get started. Number 1, to start my transition, I stopped doing monthly services. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste all of this, and I'm going to go into a Google Doc, and I'm going to explain more into a Google Doc. So let me open up Google Doc, okay? And then let me paste it here. So now we're here, and let's go into step 1. So I'm going to highlight this one because this is the one that I'm going to focus on really inside of this video here. So let's highlight this. So to start my transition, I stopped doing monthly services on other platforms. So my goal was I want to transition from high ticket services. Now, here's what my journey was. I was at a place where I would do almost any service. I would say, hey, if you hire me for Facebook ads, I'm going to figure out how to do Facebook ads because I can charge for it. If you hired me to build out stuff on your WordPress, I would go ahead and build stuff out on your WordPress because I know I could charge for it, right? So that was my introduction into like what the marketing agency world was, is you build out campaigns for people and you essentially say yes. So like when I saw other agencies run their business, that's how they were running their business. They were doing whatever was thrown at them as projects and they would say yes. And yes, they were making money. I know some that were doing $100,000 a month plus. And we had 6-figure months as well inside of our agency. But the thing was, I was always running around. And most importantly, I was in a stage that I had to be involved in almost every campaign that I sold because only like I knew what I sold. And number 2, like I was the expert, right? So customers would come to us and they would say, hey, Andy, I want to hire you and I'm going to pay you X dollars, right? And they'll be like, hey, I'll pay you $40,000 for you to build out our website, plus an online course and whatever. And I would say, okay, so I will take that $40,000 and then I would have to like go and hire different freelancers or people on my staff that worked for me, things of that nature. And then I would go ahead and fulfill. And in the fulfillment, let's say they paid me $40,000, it would really take me 2, 3, 4 months to really complete that. So I got $40,000 one time, but on month 2, I didn't have any income from that customer, right? On month 3, I didn't have any income from that customer. On month 4, so that $40,000 really averaged over $10,000 a month, but I got paid all of it up front. But the thing is, my expenses were monthly because I would hire staff and then they would fulfill on different campaigns for my clients. They would fulfill on those campaigns, so I would have to pay those people out every single month, and that $40,000, for example, would start to slowly diminish as I paid a bunch of graphic designers, video editors, team members who would build out funnels and websites and so on and so forth. It started to diminish, and I realized I couldn't do that sustainably long term. So I knew I had to transition into something that was different. I just didn't know what. So here it says, to start my transition, I stopped doing monthly services on other people's platforms. I used to do monthly build-outs on management on Kajabi, ClickFunnels, Shopify, and I immediately said to each person, for me to service you, hey, if you want me to service you, it has to be on my platform. I was nervous about this, but 100% of my customers agreed to be on my white label platform, Progretta. Here was the biggest eye-opener for me. Customers that we had. So we had customers that we were building like Shopify stores for. We had customers that, and ironically, some of the Shopify stores that I had built, they were selling like 1 or 2 products. It wasn't like a huge store per se. It was like one or two big products, but it was one or two products. And or even on Kajabi, which is a course platform, people would have their courses on Kajabi, and they may have like a landing page or so on Kajabi, not really designed correctly. And then they would come to hire us and they would say, hey, look, Andy, we'll hire you to upload the courses to Kajabi, plus build out the funnels for us and write down the email sequences. And knowing in the back of my head, my version of GoHighLevel, which is called Progretta, it could do the same thing. It could do the same thing Kajabi. So I remember like getting these offers or these opportunities of people who wanted us to build stuff out for them. And we had to transition them away from those platforms into our white label. And I put my foot down. And my foot down, if you want to get to the point of having hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in annual recurring revenue, or thousands upon thousands of dollars in recurring revenue, you need to be known as the person that makes the decision of if you want to work with me, you're working on my platform and that's it. So it was tough in the beginning because I remember telling people like, my vision is to have Progretta do numbers in monthly recurring revenue. And I had to say no to certain customers. And what I was saying no to is they would come to me with their Kajabi or their ClickFunnels account, and they would say, hey, I need you to build out a funnel for me. It's $5,000. And I would be like, nope, we only do it on our platform. Everything that you're looking to accomplish inside of ClickFunnels, we could do the same exact thing on our platform. And then people would be like taken back by it for a moment. But then I asked them what's more important to them. Is it that what the platform that it's hosted on, or the fact that the funnel gets done? I said, what's more important to you? Is it the fact that it's hosted on ClickFunnels, or the funnel gets done and you sell your course or your product or your service, or you promote your idea, or you fill up your webinar, whatever it is I was building out campaigns for? What's more important? The platform that it gets done on, or the actual funnel being designed correctly? And 10 out of 10 times they were like, no, what's more important? I don't care. It's not about the platform. It's about the service that is done, that the service is done. Then I would get creative and I would say, okay, why do you want us to build it on ClickFunnels? And then they would tell me the reason I want it on ClickFunnels is because I got a bunch of other funnels done on ClickFunnels. Now, if you know about GHL, when you come into the funnel builder and you create a new step, you can actually import from ClickFunnels. So all you got to do is log into that person's ClickFunnels account and click this import button and paste the URL to that actual funnel here. And so what I would do to those customers in the beginning, I would just say, hey, look, I want to build out your funnel. I can make it look good. I know you want to focus on the results. Let's just focus on getting the results of your funnel. If you're down, I will move everything from your other ClickFunnels account. We will migrate it over. And I will do that at no cost. And I will charge you the same amount that you're paying to ClickFunnels. And on top of that, you get more value. With our software, you get the ability to send out text messages, send out emails, and have a conversations tab, as well as connected to your Instagram and Facebook to generate leads and sales opportunities. So everything that ClickFunnels does, our software does, plus more, and I will charge you the same amount that you are currently paying at ClickFunnels. So when I proposed that to people, I had to show them value. It wasn't like I try to force people into working with me. I had to show them value as to why they should work with me. And that was the thing that made everything change, where I showed them value and I gave them an opportunity to come work with me, where I was like, hey, not a penny more you'll be spending per month. We'll still do your funnel. We'll migrate everything over. But if you think about it from a financial standpoint, if someone paid me, let's say $1,500 for a funnel, after I build out that funnel, the opportunity of migrating that person over is they pay $1,500, or in this scenario, they pay you $1,500 for a funnel, and then when you migrate them over, they're now paying you $297 a month. So where some agencies get stuck is they'll just look at the front money of that $1,500 and just take that $1,500 and be like, well, I made $1,500, but the customer goes back to ClickFunnels, and then they'll go find different service providers, and you never get paid again. Unless they come to you for another funnel 6 months down the road, a year down the road. But if they come to you one time for a funnel, you can get that $1,500 right then and there, and then keep that monthly recurring revenue. So step number one to start my transition was I stopped doing monthly services on other people's platforms. So at that time, I still promoted my marketing agency services. I still promoted like, hey, I still do website builds out. I still do online courses. I still run Facebook ads, and I'll do all of those things for you. I still promoted those things. But when they got on a call with me, or when they learned about, like when it came down to making a decision, I did let them know that this is only going to happen on our white label software called Progretta. That was the best decision I made. I remember just at the time of recording this, we have clients all over the world. At the time of recording this, I was at a client's house who came from Kajabi, and this is exactly what I did. They came from Kajabi, and I said, ma'am, in order for me to do your build out, I got to move you away from Kajabi, and I will do your build out for you, but it has to be done on our platform. And they were like, wait, Kajabi's been around for all these years and so on and so forth. I said, what's more important to you, getting the goal done or the platform that it's built on? And of course, getting the goal done, which was having their course built out correctly. And they said, you know what, I'll move to you. And they've been with us for years, paying every single month. On top of that, they're one of our top affiliates where they bring their course customers into our white label. That one decision of putting my foot down and saying, hey, we only do services on our platform, set the right path for my agency, and that's what I'm sharing with you here. So on the next videos, what I'm going to be sharing with you is how we stopped adding new high-ticket services and we transitioned to really getting to a point of getting 6 to 12 SaaS customers in one day on webinar. So I'm going to share with you the whole journey that it took to where today we got multiple of these awards here, and we've crossed 7 figures. So I'm going to share that with you on the subsequent videos where I'm going to transition. I'm going to share with you the whole transition, not just step one. So far what I've shared with you is step one, where when you decide to sell SaaS, when you decide to create monthly recurring revenue, you can add software as a service. You can add it as a stream of income for you on top of what you're already doing. That's one strategy. Or you can do a full transition. Whichever direction that you go, where you want to just, maybe you're doing marketing services, maybe you're doing fulfillment today, maybe you're doing coaching, or you're doing some type of service, you can add software as an additional stream of revenue. I'm going to go into more of that on the subsequent videos where I explain step 2, step 3, step 4, and step 5. And of course, how to make all of this profitable. Step 2. And here's how that journey went. So remember, to start my transition, you're going to stop doing monthly services on other people's platforms. You're going to just focus on, you're still going to do monthly build outs, or you're going to do management, whatever services that you're doing today. The first step is transition from other people's platforms and focus on your white label platform. Okay, so that way you create monthly recurring revenue. Because even if you do a build out, for example, on someone's Kajabi account or WordPress or ClickFunnels, whatever you do a build out on, they're going to be paying monthly for that platform anyway. Why not just have the revenue come to you? Why not just have the revenue come to you? So here's how that journey looks like. After 90 days of this, I stopped adding new high-ticket monthly services like monthly ads, Facebook ads, and I only did initial build-outs, one-time setups on my SaaS. For example, I would take a one-time $5,000 website build-out, no monthly ads, and the deal would be $5,000 one time, then $399 for the CRM that powers the site. Let me share with you what I mean by this. So let me open up my calculator here. Okay, now I got a calculator here. So let's just do the math here. So the journey that I was on at that time was I was doing monthly services, for example, like Facebook ads, where it would be $3,000 a month. And at 10 customers, that's when things start to break, okay? So $3,000 a month, $30,000 a month comes in, okay? At 10, 12, 13, 14 customers, around the 10 to 15 mark, things start to break. Things start to break, okay? Around that around 10 customer mark, 10 to 15. Now, so imagine $30,000 a month. Now, if I ran my business like this, if I was doing 10 customers at $3,000 a month, and I was making $30,000 a month, I'm just using that as a scenario. Let's say that you're doing that today. You're making $3,000 a month per customer, 10 customers, and you're generating $30,000 in recurring revenue through services, not subscription, SaaS, or low-ticket subscription, through services. So that means as soon as you have a bad month or even 2 straight bad months, they're dropping you like a fly. They're moving on, and that's called churn. the churn rate inside an agency is high compared to a SaaS. The SaaS, they're going to stay for 4 years on a software, okay, before they start looking at other softwares, right? They're going to stay with you for 4 years on SaaS. As an agency owner, your churn is less than 6 months, realistically 3 months. So if someone signs up with you and they sign a contract with you and you're doing services for $3,000 a month, on the high end, they're going to start churning around the 6-month mark. Realistically, it's about the 90-day mark. About 3 months in, they did 3 payments of $3,000 a month, and then that's when they start looking at, can I get this cheaper? Even if you produce results. It's so interesting because your job is to generate this business leads. And let me share with you why the churn rate is so low. The churn rate is so high. Your job is to produce this company leads. So what happens is if you don't produce this company enough leads that convert, they drop you off of the reason that you generated not enough leads and not enough revenue was created. So that's why they cancel you. Now, here's the alternative, which I've been on. Let's say that you do a great job and you're generating hundreds of leads. Let's say you generate 1,000 leads in 90 days for a small business, which is 1,000 sales opportunities. Well, what's going to happen is that they're going to say, hey, look, I appreciate you generating all these leads. Now my team has to work those leads. So let's pause the ads until we go through all 1,000. And then you're like, wait, what? I generated all those leads? And but the client is going to say, well, I haven't closed 1,000 customers. I haven't closed 1,000 customers. So let me close like at least half of these customers, 500 new customers in our product, and then we'll come back and get started. But then if you're doing ads, you don't pause services. You either cancel or you have it be active, right? So then they say, you know what? Let's cancel this. We'll come back to you when we complete all our 1,000. That's really what happens if you're good at running ads. So they end up dropping you anyway after 3 months, or on the tail end, you do so well, they do so amazing, and they get so many sales opportunities, and they close so many deals from you. And then you know what they come to you with? You know what? You broke our infrastructure. I need you to stop running ads because now I have to hire more staff. Like let's say it's a plumbing company, right? You're running ads for. They're gonna say, look, you broke our infrastructure, man. We're not ready for all of these customers. Like I'm grateful that we brought in all these customers. Now I have to hire more staff. I have to train them. I have to get up. We got to stop bringing in new customers. We can't bring in more customers. And you're like, well, I did my job. What do you mean you're gonna stop running ads? Like I did my job. I brought you a bunch of customers, and they're gonna say, yeah, cool, but we don't have the system to be able to fulfill on all those customers. So that's why after that many amount of time. So regardless, like let me go back to this. So here, what happens is, like let's say $30,000 a month comes in, you know, after 3 months, they're going to start to churn out 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 5, sometimes 6. But around that time, they're going to churn out, they're going to start canceling. So you know you're going to lose those customers in the next 6 months. So you can get $30,000 today, a month. You know in 6 months, you're going to cancel. So you're always going to be on the hunt for new customers. But like I shared with you, around the 10 customer mark, things start to break, funnels start to, like it becomes overwhelming. So then what ends up happening is that as customers start dropping, you're forced to now go ahead and replace those customers. On top of that, you're trying to fix the problems that are breaking on those campaigns, right? On those build outs or those campaigns that are running, because when you have 10 customers, that's 10 campaigns, that's 10 ad spends that you got to review every single day. That's 10 clients that you're managing their expectations every single week. You know, so and it keeps on going and going, and so that's why things start to break. So as 6 months in, all $30,000 will come to a screeching halt. Within 8 months, you're gonna be back at zero. So as you're trying to fix problems, you're also trying to get more customers because you know in 8 months you're gonna be down at zero, and then you're playing this game every single month. So here's what I did that was different. I only did the initial build out, which was a one-time setup. Ideally, it would take me less than 30 days to complete. So an example of that was a website build. A website build will take me less than 30 days to complete, but I still kept the recurring revenue. And remember, let me open up my calculator again. So here's how the value was. I said no more Facebook ad clients that are charging monthly. This is where you're gonna have to put the rubber on the road and make a decision at this point here, because that what starts to create recurring revenue for you on the low subscription side. Because here, if you charge $5,000 for a website, okay, this is the strategy. You charge $5,000 for a website, plus let's say your SaaS is $399. Your GoHighLevel software is, just to sell a sub account, is $399. So you're gonna go to your customer and you're gonna charge $399 for the software, and then $5,399. $5,000 for the website. That's the invoice price for the website build, plus $399. So $399 a month. Now, here's the thing. Here's why you do it that way. Because when you are doing the $30,000, 10 customers, you're making $30,000 a month from 10 customers at running Facebook ads. Wait, how do you make that same amount of income? Through this strategy. The way that you make that same amount of income, let's say you're doing one-time build outs for $5,000 where you're charging for a website build or a funnel for $5,000, right? The way to make that same amount of income is you got to get $30,000 divided by $5,000. You got to get 6 customers a month. Regardless of which strategy you go into, if you're doing the high ticket monthly services or you do the one-time build outs for $5,000, you're still going to be on the hunt for more customers. Because running Facebook ads, you're going to lose the customers in 6 to 8 months anyway, right? So you're always going to be on the hunt. But if you are doing the one-time build-outs for $5,000, if you get 6 customers a month at $5,000 one-time builds, then what happens is that you're making that $30,000 for that month income, but next month you're making 6, multiply that by $399, you now just added $2,394 in monthly recurring revenue to your business, okay? So in that scenario, in 1 month of doing one-time builds, if you get 6 customers to pay you $5,000 up front for like a website build plus a funnel, whatever, then plus $399 a month, that $399 a month that you're getting from those 6 customers, you're actually getting that every single month just for the software. And a customer who pays $5,000 is not going to care so much about the $399 a month. Someone told me, hey, Andy, like the people who buy a Rolls Royce, they don't care what the cost of gas is. They don't care that gas cost, $3.99 versus $4.97. Like the person who buys the Rolls Royce, if you're charging something like $5,000, $3,000, $4,000, if you add on a monthly subscription of the software, that person's not gonna say, let me cancel the software. Like if they just invested $5,000, right? Because your $5,000 is a big investment compared to the little $399 a month for the software itself. Okay, so you're adding $2,394 in just monthly recurring revenue on the software by selling six websites or 6 funnels or 6 campaign build-outs for $5,000 up front. So you get your $30,000 that you need if you're operating, if you were originally operating at 3 customers times 10, you'll get the 6 customers that you need to make your $30,000, but you're adding monthly recurring revenue every single month. So if $30,000, this is how I did the math. If $30,000 a month recurring revenue is what I need, I'm going to divide it by $2,394. And all I would need is 1 year of focusing on this strategy. Now, for me, it took me 90 days, but all I would need is 1 year of focusing on this strategy to get, let's do the math, to get about the same amount of income that I was running Facebook ads. So, because if every month I got 6 customers, every month for a year, 6 times 12 months, approximately, it's about 13 months, but 6 times 12 months, that's a total of 72 customers that I would have gotten. And out of that 72 customers, they're all paying me $399 a piece. That's bringing my business now $28,728 a month in recurring revenue. And what am I doing? I'm not running any Facebook ads. I'm not running any done-for-you monthly marketing services. I only did a big build-out in the beginning, and then now they're paying monthly to have access to that big build-out that helps them run their business. So an example of some of the big build-outs that I've done have been Shopify store integrations, right? Where someone has a Shopify store already and they use our software as the back end of all the emails, all the text messages, all the follow-up campaigns, all the abandoned checkout sequences, right? That's one example of a big build. So they pay $5,000 for that big build out and then they pay $399 a month, okay? On top of that, some of the things that I did online course uploads where I would upload people's online courses, and then I would build out the landing pages and the web pages and the email sequences that deliver that online course. So for a coach who charges, I don't know, $1,000 a month, I would charge them $5,000 for that build out. All right. So those are some of the examples of big build outs. I've done webinar campaign build outs where I would build out someone's webinar campaign, and I would say, hey, it's $5,000 for that build out, right? And then when I build it out for them, then I would charge them $399 a month to use the software. But that big build out that I built in the beginning, that was something that was tremendously valuable for their business. And so they kept on using that inside of their business, right? So that is how, if I was doing $30,000 a month, right? Or if you're doing $30,000 a month, 10 customers at $3,000 a month, okay? Now you got 10 customers paying you $3,000 a month. If you stay in the high ticket monthly services, you can't focus on getting other clients because you're currently fulfilling on your customers. So like your 10 customers at $3,000 a piece for Facebook ads, for example, $3,000 per person for Facebook ads, you can't go ahead and get more customers because around the 10 customer mark, it starts to break. Around the 15 customer mark, it starts to break. So you can't possibly think about, I'm going to get 70 customers, right? That becomes outrageously something to think about. And it's not, most agencies aren't even open to thinking like that or even building a business like that. So I just share with you how to get 72 customers and how you would get 72 customers. But to do that on the high ticket done for you monthly marketing services where you got to manage those customers, that becomes hard. Because if in January, let's say, for example, I got you get 6 customers in January, in the month of January, 6 customers that pay $5,000. When those 6 customers pay $5,000 on January 1st, it may take you all of January to fulfill all of their websites, all of their funnels, all of their email campaigns, all of their text message campaigns, and so on and so forth. Now, when you're doing all of that build out, this might be you plus a VA or you and 2 VAs maybe in that example, right? So when you're doing all of that build out there and it takes you 1 month to fulfill on that build out, as soon as February hits, you're done with all of their build outs and you and your team are scot-free. You guys are available and you're like, hey, I'm available to do more projects and more build outs and more funnels and more campaigns. Your first 6 are complete. Their project is complete in the month of January. So like, let's say January 1st, you got 6 new customers, and between January 1st to the end of January, you're doing all their build outs, all of their funnels, all their email sequences. It's much easier today with ChatGPT than when I was doing it before ChatGPT, but it's much easier with ChatGPT and funnel AI and all those pieces. So now you got 6 projects complete in a month. You and your team did a whole splits, like you guys sprinted to get all 6 complete in a month. And it's only a one-time build. It's not a monthly service. It's just one website, one funnel, one course, one X, one pipeline, one email sequence, whatever that is for that month. You completed it. It took you less than 30 days. You guys finished it. Now for February, you and your whole team is available. So what are you going to do? You're going to go get more customers. But you already, from those 6 customers initially in January, they're still paying $399 a month to use the software that houses their build out, their website, their funnel, their email campaign, their text message campaign, whatever you built for them. And then month 2, February, you're like, hey, I'm available. So then you get 6 more customers. Okay, you get 6 more customers, and they all pay you $5,000 a piece. Now you got $30,000 that came in, and out of that $30,000, you for that month, February 1st to February 28th, you're working as a sprint. You and your whole team are working together. Boom, boom, boom. We got to finish the funnel by the end of the month. We got to finish the campaign by the end of the month. Finish the emails by the end of the month. Finish so-and-so by the end of the month. You still generated $30,000 to manage your operations, manage your business, whatever that may look like. And then at the end of February, your team is like, oh, I'm beat. I worked all month getting all the 6 campaigns. But what do you have there? What do you have that's different than your previous business model? If you got 6 customers you did a build out with on month 1, January, month 2, you did another build out of 6 customers, that's a total of 12 customers. And let's say you sell your software for $399. Now you got $4,788 in monthly recurring revenue in every single month. The reason why I noticed that some agencies it's hard to transition is because for most agencies, and mind you, I was one of them. It was very hard for me to transition when I was like wanting to transition and have some time freedom. The reason why it was hard for me to transition was because I thought this is where the ball stops. So if my business, let's say my business was doing $30,000 a month or $20,000 a month, and then I worked for 2 months straight just to have this recurring revenue, then I would say it's easier to run Facebook ads and get 10 customers running Facebook ads at that point than having 12 customers pay $3.99 and only get this. And then, but that's where the difference starts to stack up, because remember in the scenario I showed you, $3.99, you multiply that by 6 customers a month. After 10 months of doing that type of work, I will now have $23,940 in monthly recurring revenue. And then that's when there's going to be a point where the revenue of SaaS starts to overshadow, or the revenue of SaaS compared to the revenue of done for you services, the revenue of SaaS starts to become much more. Because if you did this for 18 months, let's say you're adding, remember, $3.99, multiply that by 6 customers a month that you're getting. You're doing the build out fee is what pays for that month's income and month's expenses and so on and so forth. But why you want monthly recurring revenue is for the future. If you're every month you're adding $2,394 in recurring revenue because you have 6 people paying you $3.99, let's say you did that for 18 months. You're now making $43,000 in monthly recurring revenue on just software. And then compared to having 10 customers where you're doing Facebook ads at $30,000, which one would you rather have, right? $43,000 recurring revenue on a software that customers just use themselves. They don't really have to do, you don't really have to do much every single month. And then I will be explaining about the white label, how to white label sales, how to white label onboarding, how to white label retention, and how to white label the entire process, okay? But this is what that looks like here, number 2. So the reason why this was important is because this allows you to get cash up front while you're gaining subscribers. So what I wrote down was I figured getting 10 customers from like $2,000 to $5,000 up front one time, and then they all pay $3.99 to $7.49 per month was smarter in the long run. And that's what's important. It's smarter in the long run because the time is going to pass. That 18 months is going to pass regardless, right? If you do 18 months of high ticket services, in 18 months, at the end of the day, you're still going to have the same amount of churn where you're going to lose those customers at some point. So if you do 18 months of this, regardless, you're still going to lose the customers versus in 18 months, you can have, X amount of customers, 100 customers, 60 customers, 80 customers paying you $3.99, $4.97 a month, $7.49 a month, and so on and so forth. So this allows you to get cash up front to make your transition easier. So, okay, yeah. What did I write? I figured getting 10 customers to $2,000 to $5,000 up front one time, and then they all pay $3.99 a month was smart in the long run than me putting all my attention on high ticket recurring, which ends up canceling anyway. So like if you put your attention on 10 customers that are paying $3,000 a month, then what ends up happening is that within the 6 months they end up canceling. You're gonna need to go get another 10 and 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 another 10. And so this system allows you to start transitioning and getting, because right now your monthly recurring revenue may be like right here, and your service revenue might be like right here. What we're doing is we're slowly transitioning the monthly recurring revenue from the software to be higher than the service, and then we're slowly bringing the service revenue down, where your monthly recurring revenue is consistent. And that's what this is, okay? So what's next is I'm going to be sharing with you step 3, which is the one-time setups, how to transition from the one-time setups and transitioning it all the way to getting SaaS customers. And then I will be explaining about how to use the white label webinars, white label sales presentations, white label onboarding, and white label customer retention. I will be explaining all of that in the next video. I'll see you on the next video. As we transition into step 3, let me just make this small. Let me make this size 11, and I'll remove the background, and let me make this big, and I'll make this size 30, ooh, that's huge. So after 3 to 4 months of only doing one-time setup. So remember, the one-time setup is when you're going to sell an initial build out. Now we actually have a program. This is not me trying to sell it to you right now. I'm just gonna share with you context. So in our program, we have all of these different tools and how to automate webinars, how to start a podcast, client management, how to manage your how to manage your clients, how to grow your business with virtual assistants. And there's something in here called industry marketing templates. So if you click on this, or when I click on this here, there's a tremendous amount of different industries. For example, I could have the plumber, right? And the chiropractor, or the mortgage, or the life insurance, or the tax preparer. So here's how it works. Inside of here, there's this like snapshot link, right? There's a snapshot link with a document that tells you or guides you on how to set up this specific template. And then there's the links to the snapshot, and then there's a video training on how to actually set up that entire snapshot build out. So it brings you step by step. Now this one here is for the life insurance agent. So remember, like, the strategy is sell something high ticket in the front end. So that industry specific snapshot is a template for any old industry, any of these industries. So it could be, we have stuff for life insurance, plumbing, tax preparer, accountants, and dozens upon dozens of different industries and different snapshots that we have. Now today, as of today, what I did was, because years ago when I was marketing to different industries, I would go to a tax preparer, for example, and I have a bunch of tax preparing customers, whether they're accountants, CPAs, bookkeepers. To us, it's all the same. In my world, in my point of view, personally, it's all the same, right? Whether there's someone that's bookkeeping, the way that they manage their customers is very identical. So what I did was I went to one customer, and this is an example of how their website looks like, right? It's a very basic website that focuses on essentially what this company does. And then what I did is I took that initial build out for that industry, and I went out and I sought more customers in that demographic or in that industry. So for example, when I built out, so I go to John. I'm just going to give you an example. I go to John and I say, John, hey, I will build out your website. I will build out your funnels. I will build out your text message sequences, and I'll build out your funnels. I'll build out your campaigns, and I'll build out a lead generation system for you. All of that, the total is $5,000. And then John is like, all right, sign me up, Andy. I'm in. Then he gives me the $5,000. I go and do a build. It takes ideally like 30 days to go ahead and build that out. I took John's template and I turned it into a snapshot. So inside of GoHighLevel, a snapshot is a template of a particular sub-account that is used to transfer items such as funnels, calendars, workflows, websites, custom values, trigger links, message templates, etc. to another account. The idea behind this is the idea behind this feature is that it always allows the agency owner to build and customize many different assets and settings so that they can be applied to new accounts, therefore minimizing the amount of work that needs to be done when it is created. So what I did was, a customer comes to me and it pays me $5,000. I go ahead and I build it out for them custom, right? And then it's custom for that specific industry. I took that template and then I go to other, let's say it was the accountant. I go to other accountants and I say, Mr. Accountant, second accountant, let me build out a custom template for you, custom funnel, custom email marketing campaign, custom lead generation system, so on and so forth. And I would just install that snapshot. How long does it take, if you know how GoHighLevel works, how long does it take to install a snapshot? Less than 1 minute. So now I install that template into the second tax preparer's sub account. He pays me $5,000 for it, and I installed that template, but it was already built. All I got to do is go in, change the name, change the logo, change the phone number, change the calendar link, and within a couple hours, I have a new website that would have taken me weeks to do. It's already done. Okay, so this is how I started to streamline that process, and actually to the point where, because I already had templates, I would go around to people and giving them discounts after some time, where I would go, instead of $5,000, I would do it for $2,000 or $3,000, because a snapshot takes 1 minute to upload. Now I'm just seeding this thought right now. We have dozens of snapshots that are available for you with different industries, home improvement, dental implants, financial advisor. We have the real estate, the roofing, we have dozens of snapshots and templates. And what I would do to start growing is I would hire a virtual assistant, and pay a virtual assistant a fee. And I would say, hey, can you install this snapshot? And the client paid me $5,000, but I pay you X. Or even in my case, sometimes it's so fast to load a snapshot in. Sometimes a client would pay me and I would have their entire website campaign built that night, because all I did was press a button, load in the snapshot. The client paid me directly, and that's how I set it up, right? And it's pretty quickly. So what I did was, for multiple months, I was just pushing to get as many sales as possible. There will be some days I would do a group presentation and I would say, hey guys, I'm going to install this whole entire sequence for you, and it's $1,997 today, right? And instead of $5,000, it's $1,997 today. But I'm not trying to impress you like with the idea like Andy's made a bunch of money. I'm trying to share with you that this is something that you can do for sure, whether you get a bunch of sales or a small amount of sales. If you got 10 people in a month that pay you $1,997, for example, that's almost $20,000 that you would have generated. And a lot of it is all snapshots and templated. So at the end of this training, I will share with you how you can actually take my snapshots, and I'll just give them to you inside of our program. I will give them to you so that way you can resell it to your customers. Sound fair? So number 3 was, after 3 to 4 months of only doing one-time setups, I stopped doing all services entirely and only sold SaaS, just the software. And now when I say just the software, I'm also including the fact that there was a build out involved. Okay. At this time, I still had reoccurring high-ticket contracts on retainer, but what ended up happening is my accountant told me my SaaS revenue was profitable. My biggest cost was the labor on the high-ticket side, and if I transitioned to full SaaS, we would remain profitable. It's not until you have the numbers that you're able to make the right decisions. So one of the things that one of my mentors taught me was stay aware of your numbers. And today, like, we have a program called The Intensive, and I share with intensive members. It's a weekly coaching program, plus I give tools like 24/7 technical support. I do done-for-you onboarding and so on and so forth. And there's a tremendous amount of value inside of that program. Now, in the intensive, one of the things I say is every week, look at your numbers. How many new SaaS customers, even if you get 0 today, every week, look at your numbers. I'm going to be transparent with you, if that's okay. I'm currently on a weight loss journey. And on this weight loss journey, what I started to do, like the beginning of my weight loss journey, I was 300 pounds. Okay, now much less. And I dropped to nearly 30 pounds so far. And in the beginning of the journey, here's what was the first step. Don't change your diet, Andy. Like, Andy, don't change your diet. Just track how many calories you're eating on this app. So I have this app on my phone. At the time of this recording, I got 156. I don't know if you can see it. I got 156 calories remaining, but that's not the point of this video. Is the fact of the matter is, like, I started to track, and in the way beginning, the first step was just track how many calories you eat. And when I thought to myself, like, I eat reasonably healthy, and little did I know, in this area, I was uneducated. So I would say, okay, I eat reasonably healthy. Let's track how many calories this drink has. Or let's track how many calories the olive oil that I have when I pour olive oil to make some eggs, for example, and I put a little bit of olive oil so that way it doesn't stick. How many calories does that have? Like, all the small, minute things. By tracking my calories, I became aware. Same thing in your SaaS. Track how many sales you have every single week. And if you're just starting in the beginning, then it might be 0, 0, 0 for your SaaS. Now, you may be doing well in the different part of your business today. You may be doing well in high ticket services or funnel design. But if we're trying to add SaaS as a recurring revenue, if we're trying to add the software as a recurring revenue, then you want to start tracking that. So you could be doing $15,000 a month or $20,000 a month or $60,000 a month or $80,000 a month in the service business. But when you look at the software, you may look at it and be like, hey, this is 0. Or this is only at $1,000 and you're looking to try to grow that. So by tracking on a regular basis, it allows you to make the right decisions. So I started tracking my results every single week. And this is stemming back from 2021. So every single week, I'm looking at my revenue. I'm looking at my profit. I'm looking at my loss. My profit and loss. which is a document of like what's my revenue minus expenses. So as you grow your business, you're going to have that document if you don't currently have it today. It's going to be you tracking we use QuickBooks to do that. So you're going to track your revenue minus all your expenses. And so as I was doing this, my accountant said to me one day, he said, Andy, I just want to let you know something that I observed. If your monthly recurring revenue, because we started to track it separately, the SaaS revenue on top, and then was one line item, and then the revenue from the services was another line item. So my accountant said to me, hey, Andy, I just want to share with you, your biggest expense in your company is going to be your payroll because of all of these different projects that you have, right? You have Facebook ads that you're running for, because I still had multi-month contracts with people where it was 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, a year-long contract with people that I was doing like their websites or their Facebook ads or Google ads and so on and so forth, or website management, right? So he was telling me like, hey, just want to let you know, if you transitioned away from the high ticket services, because you've mentioned that a couple of times on past calls, because I would have a call with him every week. And he said, if you transition away from that, I just want to let you know that your profit will stay almost the same, because your revenue minus the payroll for the services, the services is so high because you got to pay so many people, Andy. Your profit would be the same, or actually you become more profitable over time as you acquire more subscribers because your income, your expenses stays the same. So when you do SaaS, you can actually level out a lot of your expenses. So for example, I keep fumbling in my words. I keep fumbling my words here a little bit. But if you did what I essentially did, if you have a team that is operating your business and the amount of customers that you serve is limited based on the team size, right? So let me share with you an example. If you've ever done Facebook ads, you know, if you did like a huge webinar and you got 15 new customers that you had to onboard into the Facebook ads manager, or you had to do 15 different funnels in one day, it becomes overwhelming. Like, whoa, I got to start hiring more staff. That's the conversation. So if you've ever done marketing services, the more clients you bring in, the more staff you got to bring in to fulfill on those marketing services. Because if, like the scenario that I gave you earlier, if you have 10 customers paying you $3,000 a month, and each customer is going to have essentially someone help them, like maybe part-time. So I might have one person help 2, maybe 3 customers at any given time, right, throughout the entire month. So their payroll is geared towards 3 people. So that means if I bring in another 3 customers, that means I got to hire another staff member. So then that's when I'm on all these websites and I'm putting out applications and going through a hiring process. If I bring in another 3 customers, I had to hire more staff, right? And it kept on going. So the more customers that I got, the more my team size got. I remember during the pandemic, there was a tremendous amount of businesses that wanted to do stuff online. My staff size got up to 60-something people because of the amount of customers that came in during the pandemic. This was before I did any GoHighLevel stuff. So this was during the pandemic, and my staff size got up to 60-something people that we had on payroll that we were paying every single month because of all of the businesses that were excited during the pandemic not excited, that were in a transition during the pandemic from doing stuff in person to doing it online, and they wanted to run ads, they wanted to run campaigns, they wanted to get more customers, they needed graphics, they needed marketing campaigns, they needed email sequences, funnels built, and so on and so forth. So there was a tremendous amount of businesses back then, and customers were coming in, and then my team size grew. So today, for example, my current company, on my SaaS side of my business, if I got 100 new customers today, my team size will not grow one more person. Not even one person. Because when someone purchases my SaaS today, they go through automated onboarding, all right? Automated onboarding, and there's certain links that goes out and web pages that they go to. Let me just show you real quick. So like here's a couple of steps. Like we don't do manual agreements anymore. So like in order to activate an account, and I go into more detail inside of the program that I was sharing with you, but like all of this is automated. So this is the thank you page. Someone pays for my SaaS, and on the next page, this is what they see instantly. And then there's multiple steps afterwards, right? There's like, you got to schedule a call right after, join the Facebook group afterwards, log into the app afterwards, and it's all automated. But the biggest question that I have is like, Andy, so what about like, if you got 100 customers, wouldn't that mean more calls? Here's what I would do in that scenario. I would just take my team size, and I would just do a group call instead of an individual call. And that would be it, right? So like, I would take my current team that does currently today, we do one-on-one onboardings. And if we had an influx, just a crazy influx of 100 customers in one day, or 300 customers in one day, for example, then we would just take the same process that we do. And instead of doing one-on-one, we would just do group calls every single day of the week. And so my team wouldn't have to grow any much more size. This is what I'm sharing with you. It becomes more profitable. So it would be the same amount of payroll to run that entire company, right? The tech support, a lot of the tech support is automated, right? And the funnels that get customers, it's automated. So when you do this model, like whenever I talk to a agency that is doing high ticket services on a monthly basis, whenever I tell them, hey, how would you feel today if you got 15 new customers that you got to build out funnels for and ads for today on a monthly basis? They always tell me the same answer. Oh man, Andy, I'm going to have to hire some more people. I got to go find some more technicians, and I got to do onboarding with them. I got to do SOPs for the technician, for the actual employees. And it's always like, man, and that's what I'm saying to them. And I'll say to them, like, so your business growth is actually limited based on your ability to fulfill today. So this is why at this stage here, a lot of the selling that I'll do is to similar industries with industry templates where I build out one time. So I find somebody who is, let's say that this is a tax preparer. I love tax preparers because they help save money on Uncle Sam taxes. But so like, for example, a tax preparer, let's say I set up a template for them. I'm going to take that same template. I'm going to go to a bunch of other tax preparers. I remember I would sponsor events. Here's a quick example of one of the events that I look like sponsoring, where I would bring some of my team members and we would go ahead and promote our white label software, and I would get speaking engagements, and I would get in front of some of these small business owners, and I would present to them what Progretta is. So this is me on stage speaking to a bunch of small business owners. And as I'm talking to these small business owners, I'm identifying, do I have a template for this individual? Do I have a template that I can help this customer or this person that's in front of me? Do I have a template in mind? And many times I would say yes, or I would just create the template with them, and they would pay for the build out of that initial template, and then I would resell the template many times. So I will, at the end of this training, I will end up giving you access to the templates where you can actually join a program, and we'll give you access to all the templates that I share with you. Okay. So after 3 to 4 months, it took me, but for you, it could take 2 months. It could take 4 months. It could take 5 months. It could take 6 months, but this is what your transition looks like. Now that's step 3. Step number 4 and number 5, I'm going to explain it more in subsequent videos, where step number 4, how I stopped the done for you services. But here at this step, the biggest kicker is I really focused on just the high ticket setups. And I stopped doing all the reoccurring services, like no more Facebook ads, no more monthly marketing services, no more, like even if someone wanted to pay $5,000 a month or $6,000 a month, it was very tough. I'm telling you, if you are in this journey, it's going to be very tough because it takes discipline. And the discipline that it takes for you to say no to someone who says, hey, I'll pay you $3,000 a month, or I'll pay you $5,000 a month. It's tough when you're like, hey, I'm going to say no to $5,000 a month for someone for me to run the Facebook ads. But we got to know the math is in your favor long term. Because if someone's paying you $5,000 a month, they'll be excited in the beginning. But after 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and this is not just my experience, this is me interviewing at least 60 different GoHighLevel agencies who had a similar experience where they were selling high ticket services, and they've been in business for years upon years upon years. In the beginning, the thought process is like, well, if I help them get customers, they're going to stay with me, right? And the reality comes down to like, well, 9 times out of 10, the answer is no, because It's just the way that the business operates. You get them a bunch of customers, then they got to slow down that expense on you and fulfill on those customers. If you don't get them enough customers, then they're going to slow down on you because you're not getting them enough customers. So it's a lose-lose in that scenario. So which is why you really have a 6 to 8 month run rate. And if you have a year-long contract, then it's going to be, for the most part, a year. Now, and then after that, they cancel. So here, you stop doing the reoccurring services completely, and you transition to the one-time build-outs. And then towards the end, when you start to create more profit, right, depending on how many customers that you get, you start to create more profit on your reoccurring, because the way that you're going to expand the growth of your business is you can start giving people discounts at that point. Once you get the industry templates, you can sell those industry templates to small business owners, right? You can sell it to them, and something that, like an industry template, for example, of a dental practice, a dental office. You can call 6 dental offices this week, for example, and pitch all of them. And out of the 6, 3 of them are going to say, hey, you know what? I'm not interested. And 3 of them are going to say, you know what? Sign me up. But one of them is going to say, look, man, I can't pay $5,000, but I'll pay $2,000 today. And then, okay, you charge the $2,000. And you talk to another dental office, and that dental office may say, hey, you know what? I can't pay $5,000 today, but I can pay $2,500 today and $2,500 next month. And then you say, sure, let's sign you up. You sign them up. And then another one is going to say, yes, you know what? I'll pay the $5,000 today. So now you essentially close, in that scenario, $17,000 between all 3 of them. But all of them were templates. All of them were templates that took you maybe an hour to install, and then set it all up with customizing it with their logos, their name, so on and so forth, right? And instead of you having to spend a month and a half in building out each element, you could just get a snapshot template and then resell it at, right? And then, but what's cool is those people are paying you month over month over month over month over month over month, okay? So what's next is going to be me sharing with you how step 4 and 5, I'm going to merge those 2 together, because what happens next, so the next thing that I ended up doing was I stopped all services done altogether, because the revenue of the monthly subscription of the SaaS became much more higher than the monthly recurring revenue of the done for you services, plus doing the done for you services in general. So what we ended up doing is we just started to focus on just the software. And then I'm going to share with you more on that on the next video. How to get SaaS customers, how I host one webinar once a month. I just host it once per month. That's really it. That's all I have to do. And it essentially becomes a group demo. And then on top of that, I started using these pre-recorded white label sales presentations. So I would bring in people to these pre-recorded presentations. This is actually, in this specific video, this is like a 23-minute video, but I'll save you the time and save you the details. Here's what ended up happening. In this 23-minute video, I explained that I had a cold, and I said, hey, I had a group of people that were coming, and I played a white label sales presentation. Now, what a white label sales presentation is, a pre-recorded presentation where I record and I don't say GoHighLevel, I don't say my SaaS name, I don't say the word Progretta, I just say this marketing software. And then I have my executive assistant, she's based out of the Philippines, and I just have her play the video. So if you notice what's on her screen, it might be very hard to even notice. You see it says Andy Audate here, for example. She actually changed her name to Andy Audate there as well on her side. So it says that there's 2 Andy Audates. So what she does, so as of course me, and then it's her, but she changed her name to Andy Audate on her screen. And then what she did is I shared like these settings here, and what she did was she played this video, and this video is a presentation of Andy selling the software without saying the word GoHighLevel, without saying the Progretta. All it says is this marketing agency. This marketing automation software. And she plays the video and she walks away. So what she did is she sent a message here inside of Slack. She says, just ended today's webinar for new Progretta subscribers. And then people were like saying snaps and so forth. And then there was a bunch of snaps here. And then what we do for those people is we would follow up with them, and then we would invite them to join us on a 12-month agreement where we would sell the template, the industry template on the back end, right? So, for example, this MRR, 12 months of them paying $1,194 for 12 months, that would be $14,328 in annual recurring revenue from one white label presentation. And I didn't do it. So in this video, I explained that I left the computer, I closed my laptop, okay, and my executive assistant played the recording, and she walked away from her computer. She just played the video. And even though people in the audience were like, "Oh, I could tell this is a video," but I'm enthused because it looks and it feels real. Because some of the things that I say in the video is like, put the word yes in the chat box. If you're interested in more sales appointment, put the word yes. And there's other people who would say yes. This is essentially what it looks like here, right? Where on the right-hand side where people are chatting. Now, this one is not white labeled. This one has my brand on it. But there are different versions where I don't show my face, and this is completely unbranded. This one that I'm showing you right now on your screen is the same presentation, is a similar presentation here. But you see on the right-hand side where people are like, "Hi, Andy. Hi, yes, I want more sales appointments." And then people on the right-hand side was like, "Yes, I want more sales appointments. I want more sales appointments." This is all automated. As you can tell, like right now I'm recording a video for you, but I'm actually hosting a webinar as well. So in the next video, I'm going to share with you how I'm going to merge 4 and 5 together on how you can host one webinar every single month to sell your software and get as many people to your webinar as possible. And then you'll do a group demonstration, and then you can use a white label sales presentation. And then I share with you, for example, if I got 100 people to come see my webinar, I get anywhere from 6 to 12 SaaS sales in one day. Now, 12 SaaS sales on my $399 plan would be $4,788 in monthly recurring revenue in one presentation. So in the next video, I'm going to share with you how we can automate sales, automate onboarding, and automate the retention to implement this inside of your business. Okay, so what we have so far is, number one, to start the transition, I stopped doing monthly services on other people's platforms. We got that. You're going to stop doing that as well, where you're going to stop doing monthly services on other people's platforms. Everything is going to be on your platform, right? So your white label or your GoHighLevel, where customers are paying you for the service and they're also paying you for the subscription. And yes, I changed my background. I am now at my physical office. Now, the next thing is, one of the biggest questions that I get is, do we separate the transactions? And the answer is yes. So here I have ProGreta, this is my white label, and then we have Audate Media, which is my marketing agency. So when we do the high ticket service, they will pay Audate Media service. They will pay Audate Media, so they'll pay for example, $5,000 for the website, and then they'll pay $399. We treat our white label like it's its own software that I don't own. Actually, when I market it, for the most part, I mention that my name is Andy and I'm the marketing director of the company. Okay, so if I ever want to position myself with the company, I just let people know like I'm the marketing director. So what you're doing is you're essentially treating it as two separate entities, because you have two separate ways to charge the account. One with your marketing agency, and then one with your software company. Over the years, there were people who would say to me like, "Hey, the ProGreta software, I'm keeping the ProGreta software, but I'm not running Facebook ads." And that's why you want to do it this way. So if I were to charge, for example, someone $3,000 a month and include the software, when they cancel the subscription for the Facebook ads and the marketing services, that cancels the software as well, because I included them. But because I separate them and I say, "Hey, you're going to be paying ProGreta or the software company for the software subscription, $399 a month or $497 a month, and then you're going to be paying us, the service company, for the services itself," and that's two separate invoices. So if they're paying $3,000 a month, then and they cancel it, then they're going to say, "Hey, you know what, I'll keep the software because I need the software. It has all my contacts. It has my funnels, my websites. I'm not going to cancel that, but I will cancel the $3,000 a month service." So this is why, number one, you're starting to transition all your subscriptions and all your customers to your software. Then number two, so far, after doing this, you're making an effort to focus on doing one-time build-outs. So that way you can get the customer, still maintain your current income, but get the customer and start building out the subscription revenue. Okay, so get as many customers as you can on that one-time build-out. Set them up with their funnel, set them up with their website, set them up with their text, set them up with their workflow, set them up with the campaign that you build out. And if you can, for specific industries, snapshot it. And once you snapshot it, you can then sell that snapshot. Now, do you need to sell it as a snapshot? You don't have to say, like, hey, I'm going to sell you a template. You can communicate that you're selling the customization, because to that customer, regardless if it's a template or you sat down and you built that out from scratch and you built every single button and every single workflow, does your customer care? No. As long as they get what they paid for and they get what they asked for, right? So they don't care if it's a snapshot. They don't care if it's, or if you manually sat down. Like, your customer does not care if you worked hard till 2 o'clock in the morning to build out their funnel, or you press import snapshot. Your customer does not care. As long as they get the funnel that they asked for, they get the campaign, they get the email sequence, they get the automations, they get the marketing campaign that they want. So you're going to, and what's cool is I'm going to support you, where I'm going to share with you an opportunity where I will give you my snapshots, okay? I will give you my snapshots inside of one of our programs, and so that way you don't have to start from scratch to build it out. So you can take our snapshots and then you can sell it to different industries. We have dozens upon dozens of different industries. You can actually take ours and sell that for your build outs, okay? Now, after 3 to 4 months of doing the one-time setups, you're going to stop doing all services entirely if the numbers make sense. It might take 6 months. It might take 7 months. It might take 8 months. It might take 1 month. It might take 12 months, whatever that time frame is. You're doing all of these one-time setups, and then there's going to be a time where the fulfillment of any type of setup, even the time, like let's say that you're a one-man shop or a one-woman shop, and like it's just you. The time that you're putting into any build-outs, even if you're not spending any money in it, the time that you're putting in any build-outs, you may get to a point of where like, hey, the monthly recurring revenue is more than I want to spend on the time to build it out, okay? And I'll give you an example. Like, I was in Hawaii with my wife, and I got married. Personal note, this is something personal. I got married, and when I was married, I was a marketing agency. I was operating as the marketing agency. And I remember, like, in the parking lot, going into my wedding, I got some text messages about a funnel that needed the copy to be changed. And this particular customer was very adamant that I had to be the one, not anyone from my company. Even though I had a big staff, they said, no, Andy, I need you to be the one to change the words because you have the mind. You have the marketing mind, and I want you to be. And I'm like, I'm looking at the where I'm about to have my wedding. I'm looking at the building. My family's coming in. And I'm like, this customer, it really wants me to be the one. And I got my wife, my bride in the room. And I'm like, this model does not work. So you may be in a scenario where you start to say, hey, the recurring revenue from your software, let's say that your number was like $50,000 a month, okay? If you were making $50,000 a month of recurring revenue, you may not take the $2,000 build out, right? Because the $2,000 build out that's custom, that you have to actually customize, may take you 3 or 4 days, and you're like, hey, look, I'd rather spend time with my kids. I'd rather spend time with my wife. And if your expenses was $10,000 and you have $50,000 come in, then you may say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to do that build out. And then that's when you start really transitioning to this step. And then I'm going to explain more about like white label done for you. Like, instead of you doing the service yourself of the build out, you can actually have white label partners do it for you, or white label onboarding representatives onboard your customer, or even white label 24/7 tech support, and I'll explain that later. All right, so step number four is you're going to stop doing done for you services altogether. So you may contact all your customers and tell them like, hey, any that are reoccurring, like if you're doing Facebook ads or anything that's reoccurring, it might be reoccurring coaching or reoccurring consulting, all of that you may put to the side, and you may tell them like, hey, we're going to stop all of the services today, and we're only going to focus on the software, but I implore you to really fulfill the contracts. Be in integrity with what you promised your customer. That is huge for me, that you're in integrity of what you promised your customer. So if you told your customer, hey, for the next year, I'm running your Facebook ads, I implore you to do that, where for the next year, you run their Facebook ads, if that's what you promised. Like, it's okay that if your business model is changing, but over communicate to your customers. Really let them know, because they trusted you with their business, they trusted you with their marketing, they trusted you with their money and so forth. So I implore you, like, hey, make sure that you're in integrity with what you sold them and support them in the transition. Okay, support them in the transition. As you're transitioning your business model, if they're coming to you for done-for-you services all the time, support them where you can actually bring someone else to take over that account, or you can guide them slowly to transition off, but you don't want to just do a hard stop or be out of integrity, okay? So you may stop all done-for-you services altogether, and by contacting your customer and let them know, like 4 months in advance, like 5 months in advance, hey, at the end of our agreement, I just want to let you know we're just going to be focusing on our software, and that brings more value to you on the software side because you are a software customer, and these are all the additional values and benefits that we're going to bring. So let's say, for example, at this stage, you don't have 24/7 technical support, and your customer is submitting tickets or emails to you, and it takes a lot of time. You may then say to your customer, hey, because we're transitioning, we're going to add more value, such as we're going to give you 24/7 technical support to support you at any time. Plus, instead of doing custom build-outs, we're going to be building out templates, and we're going to be building out templates at scale that's going to make it easy for you to install it inside of your software. So that way you show them that there's value coming, okay? Now, at this stage, this can happen in 1 month, like I said, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever the time frame is. Now, to get all the customers, to get these subscribers, here's the process. I host one webinar every single month to sell our software, and then our objective is to get as many people on the webinar to do a group demonstration, and then we can use a white label sales presentation. If I get 100 people to see that webinar, I'd get 6 to 12 SaaS customers in a day, okay? So I'm gonna explain this one, and then I'm gonna transition to this piece right here, where I'm gonna show you a little bit of our insights, where upon purchase, the onboarding workflow will automatically schedule the customer to a white label onboarding partner. And then they would receive 24/7 the customer would receive 24/7 tech support from a white label vendor. And so I automated sales, and I'm gonna share with you how we automate sales with webinars, and it's white label webinars, and then how we automate onboarding with white label vendors, and then I'm going to show you how we automate retention with 24/7 tech support with white label support. So if you remember the previous operation of running a marketing agency was I was hiring a bunch of staff. So if you're anything like me and you're running a marketing agency, or you want to build a multiple six-figure marketing agency, your biggest expense is going to be on hiring people. With this process, you're creating additional monthly recurring revenue, and you're not hiring an additional person whatsoever. So if you remember what I shared earlier about what the cost is, at the cost of $997 a month, and at $997 a month, anything over that as far as income is all profit. So just getting 2 customers, for example, to pay $500 a month on a software, everything on top of that is profit, and I know the customers are getting taken care of because the white label onboarding is done, and I know that the customers are being retained because there's white label 24/7 tech support. All right, so let me explain this part right here. How to host one webinar every single month to sell your software. So here's a PowerPoint template, or here's a PowerPoint that I have. And in this PowerPoint, I explain that there's 2 ways to sell SaaS, right? So you have option A, which is one-on-one sales presentations, where you do one-on-one demonstrations. Now, for me, I want time freedom, right? I want to be able to run a business, make revenue, but also have time freedom. And what I found was the option A, I would go to YouTube University. Maybe you're someone like myself, especially at the start of my journey. I would spend a lot of time on YouTube, and everyone on YouTube would just have like so many different ways. Why? I mean, they want to get views. That's what they're doing. They want to get more and more views. So they share outdated systems and systems that are ineffective. And most YouTubers don't even actually run the business, right? They're sharing theory. And one of the theories is, hey, do one-on-one sales presentations. Now, for me, in my journey, I've never showed this before, but this is my July 2019 calendar. This is what my calendar looked like. I did one-on-one presentations, okay? And this is what it looks like. So one after the other. So let's see how many calls I had. For example, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 phone calls back to back with all of these folks. This is just one day. And I would do that. Now, if you look at my calendar, at what point would I have time to eat? Right? I had 20 one-on-one sales calls. Okay? So if we do the math, and this wasn't just 1 week, this was like every week. Every week. So I was generating so many leads after leads after leads after leads. I followed what made sense. Like, hey, I just focused on generating leads upon leads upon leads upon leads upon leads. And then this is what my calendar looked like, one after the other. So if we do the math, right? 5 days a week, okay? If I work 5 days a week and I worked 5 days a week and I did 20 appointments a day. Let's say that was the case, right? Like some of these days I would try to cancel appointments. If you notice, like sometimes some of them say canceled. I would try purposely to cancel some appointments because I was like, dude, this is getting ridiculous. I would go to the gym in the morning and in order to make things work, I would wake up early. I would wake up around 3 in the morning, head to the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning because I was following a system of doing the one-on-one. So I would go to the gym super early in the morning, then I would come home, and then I would use my home office, and then I would record, I would schedule all of these calls back to back, one after the other. I got one person on Zoom, one person on the phone. I'm doing these one-on-one sales presentations, and if I did the math, 5 days, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 days, 20 people a day. Let's just say that it's all 20 people a day. What that looks like is going to be 100 people that week. Here's the strategy, ladies and gentlemen. Go from one-on-one. What I did was I took all 20 people in that week, and I just said, hey, come meet me on Wednesday at 1 o'clock in that scenario. Like, come meet me Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Or I would take, if I did 100 people in a week, and then once a week, that's 400 people, I would say, hey, all 400 of you, come meet me on the 13th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right? And I'll do a presentation on what I'm selling and what I'm promoting and how I can help you. Because here's what happens on the one-on-one sales calls. There are people who book and they don't show up. Okay? There's people who book, they don't even show up to the presentation. They don't even show up to your call. And then there are people who book and they're your competitors and they're just going fishing for pricing and seeing what you're doing, and they're someone who's a competitor of yours. And there are people who book, don't show up, and they're competitors, so now you're reaching out trying to follow up with those people, trying to see if there's an opportunity. And there are people who book, they get on the call with you, they listen to your whole entire pitch, and they're like, hey, I'm not interested. Or, hey, you know what? The price is too much. And at the end of the call, you're like, oh, man, another one. Oh, man, another one, right? So this is why the one-on-one strategy doesn't work. And if you look at my calendar and you're like, hey, one-on-one appointments, and you look at the one-on-one appointments, and you were to say, I wish, because I know if I was in my journey, I would look at someone else's calendar, like you saw my July 2019 calendar. I would say, I wish. Like if I was starting out, I would say I wish I had that type of calendar. I wish I had that many appointments with people who wanted to talk to me. The thing is, the way that you optimize your business is going to hold you in a system. If you optimize your business for one-on-one sales appointments, so if your marketing is designed for one-on-one sales appointments, your funnels, your campaigns, your follow-up campaigns, your sales system, your sales skill is designed for one-on-one sales appointments, you end up getting stuck. Okay, you end up getting stuck in that world. Okay, and what I mean by that, you get stuck is because when you design it for one-on-one, there's a different way to sell one-on-one versus group. On a one-on-one sales presentation, it's a 4-step process. You're going to greet the customer, you're going to qualify, you're going to present your offer, then you're going to close, and then you're going to follow up, and then you're going to close again. Okay, so you're going to do all of those systems: greet, qualify, present, close, overcome any objections, and then close again, and then you go for the close. That is a skill set that doesn't really apply to group presentations. So the skill set, if you spend the next 6 months to a year mastering the skill set of one-on-one sales appointments, and then you get to the point of having a bunch of one-on-one sales appointments, that's not going to change the fact that there are people who are going to come on your call, waste your time, you're going to be stuck on the phone, and so on and so forth. So what I did is I mastered this skill set first. Okay, I mastered the ability to do group presentations. So what you saw was the one-on-one calendar. My full-time calendar, or my main calendar, looks essentially like this. This is my calendar here. Where in my calendar, this is what it looks like. So this is my February 2025 calendar, and I do more results today than I did back then. Okay, than I did it back then. Even though I had 100 one-on-one sales appointments in a week, that was me going frantically back and forth, like, do you want to buy? Do you want to buy? Do you want to buy? And then here in my scenario, I do one call per month for my SaaS. Okay, and everything else on the back end is all white labeled. Okay, I do one call for a month for my SaaS, and then in this event, I call it scaling from 5 figures to multiple 6 figures. And then people who have 5-figure businesses come on and they want to scale, and then they get our software, and then they go through a system with our white label vendors. Now, in this scenario, I'm the white label vendor. My company is the white label vendor. So I built a system around my SaaS, and then we offered it to GoHighLevel agencies, the same system that we operate inside of our business. So I'm the white label. My company is the white label vendor. So I have a white label SaaS called Progretta, and then I also have a GoHighLevel business called the GHL Engine. GHL stands for GoHighLevel. So GHL Engine, and at GHL Engine, I do 2 calls, or per month, I do 1 call every Friday. So I got 1 call scheduled every Friday where I work with the group, and then sometimes I'll host a mastermind. So like this is a mastermind that's taking place at my house where I'll bring in other members of the GoHighLevel community, where I share our systems, our back end, our funnels, our campaigns, and people get to come, and you're invited for sure to come out, and we host that twice a year. Then every second Tuesday, I believe, or the last Tuesday, it's the second Tuesday and the last Tuesday, I do some other calls for the GoHighLevel community for our GoHighLevel agency coaching program. So for my SaaS, all I need to do is 1 webinar per month. Okay, that's my calendar. So everyone that's like, I want to meet with Andy, I want to see what to buy, I want to see if there's opportunity to buy his software, all those people, I would take them and I would just bring them to 1 webinar. That's the one I do live. Now, there are people who are like, hey, I want to learn now, and what we do is we automate it. So we use a software called Webinar Core, and at Webinar Core, the way that I use it is I take my live recording, I upload it to Webinar Core, and Webinar Core makes allows customers to go ahead and watch a demonstration. So they come to a web page like this, and I choose the time frame that they like. You can choose any schedule that you want. So I typically have the only time that they can schedule is within 10 minutes or within 1 day. So they come here, they choose the time, they put in their name, email, and phone number, and then they get introduced to the webinar. And this is me actually live on a webinar, and on the right-hand side are people who are chatting like they're at the webinar, because in the video, remember, I pulled the recording of an actual group presentation, and in the group presentation, I will say, because I'm talking to a live group on the group presentation, and I'm fumbling my words. Sometimes I would say, for example, like, who here wants more sales appointments? And in this presentation, I'm going to share with you how to get more sales appointments. Put in the chat box who wants more sales appointments. So I record that on Zoom, okay? I record that on Zoom, and then I share my PowerPoint screen on Zoom in front of live, real people, okay? And I do that once a month. I take that recording of that presentation, and then I upload it to this specific software called Webinar Core. And on Webinar Core, people can go ahead and register at any point of the day and watch my replay of my webinar, of the most recent live one that I did. And then they'll come inside of this webpage, and then they'll opt in to watch the replay, but the replay looks and it feels live, so that way people in the chat can have conversations and respond to what I'm saying in the video. So this is how you can automate, and this entire system, like I shared with you, you can actually implement inside of your SaaS, and I'm going to be giving you an opportunity to get the entire blueprint today, okay? Now, so in this entire chat here, people are going back and forth, they're chatting, and this Ryan says, like, so everything is automated basically, right? But Ryan could be anywhere in the world watching this presentation, but I'm currently recording this course for you. The webinar is all automated. And then at the end of the webinar, what ends up happening is like there's a pop-up that will appear right here. And that pop-up will say, you can purchase the software today at this price, at this rate, and then people can click that pop-up and go to the actual purchase link to go purchase my software. So my schedule went from every day to, yeah, man, we get dozens upon dozens of customers on a weekly basis through just one webinar a month, but every single day there's automated presentations taking place. So people can schedule to come to see me live, okay? And then people can schedule to come and see a webinar within 24 hours, and then they'll schedule it, they'll get the emails, the text messages, and it feels like a live event. And then when they get there, they're like, oh, there's other people here, and there are other people there, and other people are chatting, and they're having their own chat, and so on and so forth, and that software webinar core automates that whole journey. So now the business, because when you think about like Andy 6 years ago, I thought that it was the more hustle, the more grind. So I filled up my calendar to the brim. I couldn't eat. I'm on Zoom calls, and I'm like, is it okay if I eat some food? And I'm eating some food, and then at the time, my wife now, back then, she was my girlfriend. She's like, dude, this operation that you have, we're never going to be able to have a family. We're never going to be able to travel, and so on and so forth. And it's 100% because of this system. So I'm going to share with you how you can implement it in your business. So there's a 4-step framework to hosting webinars and selling software. Number 1, you'll schedule 1 webinar per month for the next 12 months. Step 2, you're going to get as many of your potential customers on that webinar to register every single month. At the webinar, you do 1 group presentation of your software, then you sell the software on that presentation, and a small portion of them is going to buy, and then you just repeat that once a month. You're going to take the recording, you're going to upload it to a software like Webinar Core, and you're going to automate your webinars on a daily basis. So that way when people come to your website and they're like, hey, I'm interested, ironically, you have a webinar coming up in tomorrow. And people are going to go ahead and watch that webinar and make a decision to buy. So here's an example of September stats. We did 821 people registered, 133 attended, and we closed $81,000 in annual recurring revenue from one 90-minute presentation. So that is this section here. Right? That is this section where you host 1 webinar every single month to sell the software, and you get as many people to the webinar to do a group demonstration. And then now let me explain what the white label sales presentation is. So we created something called white label sales presentation or white label webinars. And with what a white label webinar is, you can actually take a pre-recorded presentation. This one here, for example, is 2 hours and 30 minutes with a timer. And what happens is on Zoom, you bring people on Zoom and you play this video. So you'll be able to make it full screen on your computer. And on Zoom, you just play this video. And you'll open up the Zoom room 30 minutes before, and people will go ahead and watch this presentation, right? When they go watch this presentation, in the actual video, let's go to it. In the actual video, I don't even show myself for the most part. And if I do, I don't show a brand. So I hide my brand. Not like this. I just wear a black t-shirt. And I just tell people about this marketing automation software or this chat automation software. And at the end of the presentation, I go ahead and sell your software for you. And I'll say the purchase link is inside the chat. So on Zoom, you bring a large group of people on Zoom. And instead of you even having to do the presentation, you just play the screen. So for example, for me, in my case, I'm currently in my work office, and when I have a webinar presentation, true story, this is how it works. When I got to do it live, the only time that I do it, like I'm actually there in person and I answer specific questions and I'm actually there in person, is because just truth be told, I've done over 344 webinars, selling different products, coaching programs, services. I've done them for other people. These are some of the people that I've done webinars for. Like, for example, Sharon, this is the co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've been part of Grant Cardone's experiences, and let's keep on going. other people's names, other people's events, and I've helped them fill up their events, whether it's in person or online. That is a former world that I come from. And that's how I know the strategy of getting in front of large groups works to save people's time. Because when a celebrity, for example, like Les Brown, the motivational speaker, gets on a stage, he's able to sell more than, and I traveled around the country with Les Brown. Like, for example, from 2016, 17, and 18, I traveled all across the country, filling up seminar rooms, filling up in-person events, and online experiences. And my job was, I was called a field sales representative. And my job was to bring and pack out rooms with as many people as possible. And I took that entire process, for example, and we just do it online today. So knowing this, I know that I don't even have to be there live. So I'll host a Zoom session. I'll play this video. If you notice, this video is 2.5 hours long. And the actual sale of the presentation, so there's a 30-minute timer, so I'm going to take away 30 minutes. The actual sale of the presentation, once I start selling, is about an hour or so in. So within 45 minutes to 60 minutes, the customer who's watching this already knows what the presentation is. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and turn on my Zoom camera, or open up my Zoom room. I'll play the video from scratch. I'll share my screen of the video, and then I just press play and I walk away 30 minutes before. So like if the webinar starts at let's say 12 p.m. at 11:30 a.m. I come in promptly and I press play, and I will just walk away from my computer and I'll just go have lunch and come back. And realistically, what happens? It's sale after sale after sale after sale on Stripe, because in the webinar, I just put the link in the chat. So the only time that I'm actually doing a presentation where it's like I'm physically there talking to the group is when it's like a new product or something that's brand new or that's recent. Like, for example, most recently, I'm doing voice AI webinars, right? So now that's something that's new, but I may go 4 or 5 months, 6 months without even actually doing the presentation. I just play a recording. And so that recording is what creates sales. So I bring people live on Zoom, okay? And then I also do it on webinar course. So for the most part, most people are watching recordings. Now, with all transparency, because I've been behind the scenes of some of the biggest brands, that's how they're able to do so many presentations, so many webinars, and still have a home life, a family life. It's with these systems. And if you're someone like myself and you want cutting edge processes, you want cutting edge technology, you want cutting edge systems, you want the cutting edge results, that's what you got to do to be able to have both. Because I've seen people who are like, hey, I should have like a live webinar once every single day, and then their marriage falls apart or their relationship with their kids are not present, okay? And the reason why this is important to me is because I know my vision of starting my business transparently. My vision was I wanted to be a present, loving father, a present, loving husband, a present, loving son, a present, loving brother, and there's a lot of people that depend on me and they need my time. But I still get to create results inside of my SaaS business, inside of my software business. So in order to make it both work, I found the system. And if that's interesting to you, stay tuned because I'm going to go into more detail of the system, okay? So far I've shared with you about like this piece, right? But I'm going to, in the next video, I thought this video was going to be shorter, but now it's kind of starting to get a little bit longer. So I'm going to go into this part, which is going to, in the next video, I'm going to go into the how. So I explained the automated sales, right? So we host a webinar, we play the recording, and then after the we host a webinar once a month, and then we play the recording, and then after that webinar recording, we just automate it on Webinar Core, and it just goes on automatic sales. I'm going to share with you how, on the next video, on how you can automate onboarding and automate retention, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity where my team will do all of this for you, okay? I'm going to give you an opportunity at the end of this where my team will do all of this for you. I'll share with you the price right now, get it out of the way. It's $1,000 a month, okay? And then afterwards, on the next video, I'll share with you about what our funnels look like for onboarding, how the retention looks like for customers, where I'm essentially like this in the SaaS business, where I'm not even having to do much of it. Now, I'll share with you what our funnels look like and what our campaigns look like so that way you can implement it and do it yourself. Okay, now, so what's next is going to be the onboarding and retention. So I explained so far how to do the automated sales, where you can automate sales with automated webinars, and then using white label webinars on live presentations where people come in live and they sit down on Zoom with you, as well as you want to automate it on a daily basis. We call that, by the way, we call that the daily demo. The automated sales is what we call the daily demo on Webinar Core. Now, let's go into onboarding. So as soon as someone goes to the purchase page, this is an example of a purchase page, one of our purchase pages. So on this purchase page, what's going to happen, and here's how it works. Like, we do the webinar, okay, and we just put the link to the purchase page, and it could be yourdomain.com/the price of your software, or yourdomain.com/the name of the plan, or like it could be your software name.com/purchase, right? It could be as simple as that. So when they come to this page, inside of HighLevel, inside of the software, you can choose the thank you page or the confirmation page, which is after someone actually makes payment, what is the next page that they go to? So let's say that I'm doing a webinar, and as I'm doing the webinar, on the webinar, I say, okay, everyone, the link is in the chat to go ahead and purchase on a white label webinar. What I'll do is I'll just put my link in the chat, okay? And I'll put, hey, progretta.com/whatever, right? And you'll do the same thing. This is how we have it white labeled, so that way any brand could use it because the link is now in the chat. And so now that the link is inside the chat, and then on the webinar core, we can actually automate that, okay? Now the link is inside the chat, and someone puts in their name, their email address, their phone number, and they go to step 2 and they make payment, instantly they're taken to this page, okay? And on this page, this is the page where we start the automated onboarding process. And I'm going to be giving you all of this, so don't get frantic. I'm going to be giving all this. We give it to you in the form of a snapshot. So don't worry about this. You're going to be getting access to this if you decide to join our system and implement this same system inside of your business, okay? And I'm going to be giving you an opportunity to join. Now, here, what you can do is just record a video here, and then we have white label versions of it as well. But you can just record your own video, like a 2-minute introduction of yourself, and to say, hi, my name is so-and-so, and down below you're going to complete the form. And this is essentially the contract, right? This is essentially the contract where someone goes ahead and signs. They understand the billing policy. They understand that we're going to charge them for text messages. They understand that, the cost of the text messages. They understand that there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. They know it's a subscription. It's not like a lifetime sale, so on and so forth. And then they're going to click Activate My Account. As soon as they click Activate My Account, they go to this web page. Now, this is the next step of the onboarding. Now, here's the thing. This entire, you see it says like finish current step in order to proceed to the next one. This entire process is the customer is doing this on their phone or while they're in the Zoom room for the most part. So it's quite simple, right? They just fill out a form with their email address, and then they don't even have to put in their name because you'll already have their email address. So they just put in whatever, john@google or gmail.com. And then when they click activate, they're instantly taken to the next page. Now, this whole entire setup is done inside of your agency account. So inside of GoHighLevel, you have your agency backend, and then you're going to have one sub-account called your HQ or your headquarters. And that's going to be where all your customers are going to come in for that, your SaaS business and all the funnels. And to make it simple and easy, we actually give you a huge snapshot. So if you decide to join our program, we're actually going to give you the HQ account. We're going to give it to you in the form of a snapshot. We share with you how to launch your brand, the SaaS configurator, like your price. I tell you exactly how to price, how to do all the automations, how to build out the workflows and the backends, how to make it into a contract, the whole 9 yards. So don't worry about that. All of this will be coming to you shortly. Now, so all of this is going to be built inside of your sub account, right? These funnels. The only thing is this little calendar widget right here, instead of it being inside of yours, this is going to be inside of my team's calendar. This is going to be my team's calendar widget. And what we do is we put your logo here, and then we put your SaaS name right here. So that way it looks and it feels branded. Now here's why this is going to be our widget. The reason why it's going to be my team's widget is because my team is going to go on Zoom being a member of your team. So here's an example. Here's what happens. So someone is going to book on our calendar, okay? And you can see where it says on the top left, it says Progretta and it says Christian Customer Success. Well, Christian is currently on a call with a Progretta customer. So this Progretta customer hops, scheduled a Zoom call from one of my webinars, and then they go back and forth for a couple. This one call was 1 hour. Any phone call with a onboarding specialist may take anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, and an onboarding specialist will work with that customer for 4, 5, 6 weeks to onboard them, and we'll do multiple calls. Here's how we make it onboarded. Here's how we make it branded. So we have a special way that inside of the link, you see where it says Progretta? Let's say your SaaS name was CRM Greatness. Okay, so I'm going to type in CRM Greatness, and then instantly it changes the name of the software here. And then the onboarding specialist, you see where it says your name? I will put my name is Jason, and then it instantly changes it to Jason. So now I can brand it instantly to another brand, and I'll hop on Zoom with that person and say, hey, I know that this was CRM Greatness's calendar link, and my name is Jason, so I'm just going to change the name of the software side, upload it as my Zoom background, and then now I become a member of your team. And then let's say that the person who's on my staff, we're going to do it white labeled for you. Let's say that person has another meeting with another agency's account right after yours, okay? So what's going to end up happening, let's say the name of the software is Elevision, Elevision CRM. So we can type in Elevision, download that, upload it as our Zoom background, and then when we go on Zoom, we're going to instantly change it. It instantly changes. So now we're going to make it branded to your experience. So even though it's my team knows exactly how the software works and how to implement everything inside the software. We're just going to represent ourselves as Elevision in this scenario, your CRM. Let's say that right after the Elevision CRM onboarding, we have a meeting with your customer again, and let's say your SaaS name is Mercedes, okay? Your SaaS name is Mercedes CRM. So I'm going to change the name, and then here, instantly, it changes the name, and now I download that, I put it in my Zoom background, and now I'm a representative of Mercedes CRM. So I can change the name instantly, and let's say instead of Jason, it's Deborah, who's the customer success manager, and instantly the name is changed right then and there, and now we put that as our Zoom background, so it's completely branded to your business. Now, you'll get a notification inside of Slack that you have a new onboarding call. Every time that someone books, you'll get a notification. You'll know that of your onboarding calls, plus you get a Google Drive of all the recordings. So every time that we onboard a member for you, it gets uploaded to a Google Drive, so that way you can see exactly how that call went, and you can download it and you can critique it. So now onboarding is essentially completely all automated, because in onboarding you don't even have to do much, because as soon as your customer signs up with you, let's say on a webinar, the next page is going to be a contract that's hosted in your sub account. And then right after that, inside of your sub account, you'll just use our widget and you'll upload our code on your website, which you can take off, update at any time. And when you update our code or essentially our calendar on your website, what ends up happening is that they're going to schedule on our calendar, and now we're going to be able to see new call from Mercedes CRM, or new call from Progretta CRM, or new call scheduled from Elevision CRM, or whatever your CRM name is. And then because of that, or your company name, and then because of that, we instantly assume a member of your role, and it gets updated inside of your account inside of Slack, which is Slack is just a tool to be able to connect. So we have this app to be able to connect with other members, and you can bring in you and your team, and you'll get a private one that is just for you, that me, you, and my team will all be in that same channel communicating with you directly. So onboarding is completely hands-off for you. Now, we have an onboarding template that we've seen work very well. We're going to replace this with your SaaS name. Now, we have an onboarding template that has worked very well over the last couple of years. However, you as the agency owner can come in and completely change all of this, and we will onboard with your instructions. And then if you decide to join us, we actually pair you with a customer success expert who will guide you to building out an SOP or a documentation just like this. So we're going to onboard based on your recommendation. So if you have a specific template or a specific way to onboard, we show up as a member of your team. Now, how do we automate retention for you? Well, retention, The biggest determinator, or the biggest thing that loses customers, is not having the right support. So here is a chat widget, okay? And this chat widget resembles the logo of the agency itself here. So this is the logo for the agency, and here's the logo for the chat widget. So you'll use this chat widget, and you'll upload your logo as the chat widget. Now, when someone clicks the chat widget, there's a couple options. They can open up a support ticket, or they can even chat with live support. And live support, when they click live support, they can start a chat widget or a chat with one of our representatives on the bottom right. Another option, right from the chat widget, they can click their button, click call us, and they can click make a call, and a representative on the other line will say, hello, thank you for calling Elevision CRM, or hello, thank you for calling Mercedes-Benz CRM, or hello, thank you for calling your SaaS name CRM. And then our team, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, will take care of your customers. So it's important, if you want to create long-term monthly recurring revenue, it's important that you're going to need sales regardless, right? You're going to need onboarding. You're going to need a retention. There's no way to get around it. However, to sell, I just share with you how you can automate it. To onboard, you can automate this, and the retention, you can get this off of your plate and delegate this, and our team is going to do this. So in this scenario, without you hiring any additional people or doing any additional custom work for your clients, if someone absolutely wants service, you can also delegate it, where there's an option for our team to do white labeled, done for you agency services. So we will do all the build outs, all the funnels and campaigns for you and your clients. So here's the thing about this. This process will free up your time. It will support you in creating more profit, so that way you can get more revenue. And yes, it's been a game changer for me, 100% without a doubt. It's been a game changer for me. And my vision is that you can take this entire system. I've spent years essentially mastering it for myself. And because I'm at a stage where we have all the automation set up, all the Zap set up, all the systems, and I have all the team, it's actually quite simple for me to extend this system to other people like yourself and implement it in your business rather than you starting from scratch. It's kind of like, I want you to imagine like McDonald's, right? For how easy is it today for McDonald's? Today, McDonald's has 7,000 restaurants worldwide. How easy is it for them to open up a new restaurant? Quite easy. They have it down to a system. But if a person wants to start from scratch and recreate McDonald's, it becomes very challenging for them to start from scratch and recreate McDonald's. So you can actually take my system, and it's very easy for me to install it, and I'm going to give you the opportunity on the next video where we can actually install it for you for only $1,000. So if this is interesting to you, stay to the next video, and I'll share with you more of what's included, and I'll see you on the next video.